Hello and welcome to presentation number 35. I'm here at the truck stop again because I've got to do a night run, and so again, excuse any noise of just general traffic, I suppose. Anyway, I want to talk about determination. Wasn't last year, maybe it was the year before, I went with my son for a walk up to the top of Mount Walsh. That's about 2 hours from where I live in Queensland. And I love walking. I love going up to the tops of mountains or hills and just admiring the scenery and admiring God's wonderful creation. And I've never been up there before. Well, I've been halfway up there, and then we turned around because at that time we went up there as a family, but the kids were way too young to go right to the top. There was a warning sign saying beyond that sign things were going to get hard, and so we turned around and went back. But this time I went there with my son. My son is very fit. I'm far from it. And anyway, we started climbing up this mountain, and it wasn't too bad at the first, and then I think it was before we even reached that sign where it says it's going to get hard, I was puffing and panting, and I literally had to stop probably even every 5 minutes, sometimes even less than that, because I had it. And of course my son had to patiently wait for me. But anyway, I'm not going to go into any of that, but I think it took us something like 3 or 4 hours to get up there. It would have taken my son probably 1 hour to get up there, maybe even less. Anyway, that's beside the point. So many times I felt like turning around, for this is way too hard. But I thought, no, I'm going to keep going. I told my son, yep, I said, I'm going to keep trying, we're going to keep going. And the track got harder and harder and harder and steeper, and one part we had to actually climb through rocks. A bit hard to explain the situation, but anyway, there was probably about an 8-foot climb between two rocks. We had to squeeze in between and climb up, and then we had to pull ourselves up with a rope for another, could have been 15 feet up a very steep, rocky slope. And eventually, in what seemed like a lifetime later, we made it to the top, and I was so glad that I stuck it out, because the view was glorious. It was beautiful. It's probably the highest mountain I've been up, and it's probably not a very high mountain. It's probably higher ones in Queensland than what this one is. I don't know what the elevation is, doesn't matter. But through determination, I got there. Now, not everyone wants to climb mountains, but you might have your own mountains to climb, what you might be finding very hard. Maybe you've recognised yourself as overweight and want to lose weight, and you're having a very hard time doing that. Maybe you're an alcoholic and you're having a hard time giving up the alcohol. Maybe you're having a hard time with a drug addiction or smoking. There could be lots of things. Maybe maybe you're unfaithful to your spouse and you want to stop, but you're having problems with all of these things, and there's probably many more if you think about it. Well, temptations are all around us, but with some determination you can do it. Okay, you look in magazines and TV shows, commercials, people who have lost 20 kilos or 50 kilos, or I've seen on, and I've even shared on my Facebook, young men and ladies, of all ages actually, who have overcome a drug addiction. They've shown before and after pictures of what they used to be when they were on drugs, and now that they've given up drugs and they've been clean for I don't know how long, and you see the big difference in them. It would have been hard for them if that was their addiction, but they persevered and they were determined that they were going to kick that habit. And the same with any other habit. If you're determined, you will be able to do it. But I'm going to give you some Bible texts for some encouragement. And the first one we're going to look at is in the book of Hebrews, chapter 4 and verse 15. And this is talking about Jesus as a high priest. Actually, I'm going to start from verse 14. So Hebrews chapter 4 and verse 14 through to 15. Maybe even 16. 16 as well. It's all important. And it says, seeing then that we have a great high priest that is passed into the heavens, Jesus the Son of God. Okay, so Jesus is the high priest it's talking about here. Let us hold fast our profession, for we have not an high priest which cannot be touched with the feeling of our infirmities, but was in all points tempted like as we are, yet without sin. Okay. Now, I don't think Jesus was tempted to have a smoke or take drugs or have alcohol. Well, it was probably offered to him. It was probably offered to him. Maybe a prostitute tried to get friendly with him. I don't know. Well, probably all these things probably did happen, because it says he was tempted in all points yet without sin. So I'm going to go to the next verse too, actually. Let us therefore come boldly unto the throne of grace, that we may obtain mercy and grace to help in time of need. Isn't it beautiful? Now to come to the throne of grace. Come to God, come to Jesus, and He will help you overcome these temptations or addictions, whatever they may be. If you're determined, ask Jesus and He will help you. Next we'll go to the book of Jude. I usually put a marker in the pages, but I haven't this time, so I'm just bear with me and I'll find it. Jude. Only one chapter in Jude, and we're on verse 24. Now it says here, now unto Him that is able to keep you from falling, and to present you faultless before the presence of His glory with exceeding joy. Keep you from falling. Falling into what? Into temptation, into sin, whatever, okay? It says He is able to keep us from falling and to present us faultless before God's throne with exceeding joy. Isn't that beautiful too? Now, Now, last verse I'm going to go through, I don't even need to open it up because I know it off by heart, and that is Philippians chapter 4 and verse 13. It's a very short verse, and it's a very important one. It's one of my favourites too. And it says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. It's nice to know that if you're determined to give up something, an addiction, well, you don't have to go it alone. Jesus will help you do it. He will help you overcome it. Just got to look for Him and ask Him for the strength, and He will give it to you. Still might take time, but rest assured that Jesus will give you all the strength you need. And I'm going to close it off here, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.